Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Isaiah, with another episode of Legion Elite Motorsports. Today is going to be a pretty interesting day. We're going to install the fuel tank, and there's going to be some updates in there about purchasing a fuel tank. Also, I'm going to be doing the world's first, as far as YouTube is concerned, pinout on MicroTech computer. So let's get to it. All right, so we're gonna install the tank, but before we do, this line, which is the return, and then this line, which is the feed, has to get upgraded to 3/8 of an inch. So we're gonna knock that out now, and we're gonna put in the new lines and get this tank up in here permanently, and we'll be good to go. Okay, so these are the old lines. This is the return, this is the vent, and that's what she looks like. Now don't be afraid to pull on these lines. Unlike everything else that rusted, these are more flexible, and you're able to put them where you need them, and then when you're done, you can push them back up and you'll be good to go. So this one to the right is the return line, this one to the left is the vent. So let's get that connected. We have our 3/8 of an inch hose, and we're gonna cut to size and take it from there. Okay, mission accomplished on both of these lines. Okay, so this one's the vent, right? And this one's not pressurized. The return usually is not high pressure, but you know, you'll see 5 to 10 PSI on the return line at most. So, with that being said, these lines are ready. These are fuel lines, and I'm going to cut them to size. And we're gonna put these bad boys up, and yeah, it'll be good to go. So let me bring around the tank and let's install. Okay, so now we're connecting everything to the tank. So the return line goes on to our second fitting, and then this guy is the vent. All right, so we're gonna put this on here, and we're going to cut to length this vent line, and let's see, just a little bit of slack is nice, nothing too crazy. All right, so what we're gonna do also is we're going to connect the leveling sensor, which is that guy right there, and I will show you exactly how to get it done. So let me cut this stuff to length, and I'll be right back. Okay, and now for the fuel leveling sensor. As you can see, there's 3 wires, a yellow, blue, yellow, black, and black. So the black is ground, the yellow black is for the sending unit. This shows you how much gas is in the vehicle. And the yellow blue is the indicator when the gas gets low. So that's all 3 of your wires that you'll have. I'm going to connect these 2, and that should be good enough. So now your black goes to this guy, and your yellow black goes to this guy. Pretty simple. All right, so I'm gonna connect that and we should be good to go. And we will be lifting this tank up for the final time. I'm excited, ready to get it done. Alrighty, so let me do that and I will be back. So after that, the tank is all mounted. I'm putting on the clamps. And also a little update on the tank if you are a purchaser. So to keep the cost low, I'm not going to be providing the hoses, the clamps, the fuel filter, and the AN fittings at the top. That is going to be something that you guys would have to pick out yourself. And I will basically show you what all is needed. So on the top, those are 8 AN lines, all three of them. So you can get your 90-degree 8 AN reduced to ½ inch or 3/8, whichever one you're going to be running. And this fitting here is a ½ inch also. This boot is 2 inches. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. You'll be surprised how much these little items cost, especially when you get high quality stuff instead of that cheap no frills stuff. So the tanks are still available. They're not discontinued. But when you get your tank, it's going to be, it'll have all of these fittings and everything to mount it up. It's going to be sumped as shown there, but the fittings on top is completely up to you. And also you know, filter if you want to run one before. It's not mandatory, but it's just something I feel is a good idea to make sure you don't clog up your fuel pump. But yes, definitely, it is $500, no shipping available yet. There will be some in the future, but as of right now, there's no shipping available, unless you plan on spending almost half of the equivalent of the tank. So let me work out some shipping details, and you know, we'll continue selling this product because I know a lot of people really need it. So I'm gonna keep it available. Local pickup to Orlando, Florida. And let's just leave it at that for now. And I'll give you more updates in future videos. But until then, we got our fill connected. We're gonna connect our vent with ½ inch tube fuel, and that'll be it. Fuel pump is in, fuel filter's in, everything's in. I'm going to be wiring the fuel pump through the computer and take it from there. All right, and as you can see, everything is attached, good to go, ready to go. And let's move on to the next thing. Okay, this pinout is specifically focused on the MicroTech LT10S and the MicroTech LT9C. Of course, it does MT and LT series also, but we are going to get straight into the pinout. So let's see, this is MicroTech LT10 4-cylinder sequential engine management. There are notes here for fuel only. So there are some subtle changes for this 4-plug accordingly. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to focus on this plug. So let's dive into it. We have our pin here, and when you're looking at it, the clip has to be facing up like that. So first wire is red, that's battery, and then across is 12-volt ignition. Then we have ground above that and ground above that. We have air temperature as pin 3 on the right. And then from 4, 5, 6, 7, let me see. We have 4 injector out and aux output, ignition output. There's 2 of those, and that's if your car is supplied with that. And then going from the left side after ground, we have the oxygen sensor, the TPMS signal, water temperature, TPMS 5-volt, fuel pump, aux input 1 and 2, tach output, ignition input 3 and 1. So that's the pinout, and we're going to look at our harness and see what we're going to use and what we're going to get rid of. So first wire on the right side is battery. We're going to chase this wire down and make sure that's going exactly where we want it to go. Okay, so on this harness, we have the battery cable, which is this red one. And we also have these 2 wires, which are going to the injectors. So it's consistent power for the injectors, and it's powered on and off via ground. So we have these 2 wires that seem to be powering on and off ground. So we're going to see what and where those wires are coming from. Okay, so we chased those 2 wires down, and they are connected to injector 1 and 2, orange and yellow. All right, so we're only using 2 injectors on this specific setup. So we're going to continue on. All right, ground on the right side is brown. So number 2 right here. Actually, these 2 side by side are ground. So let's see where they go. Chase those ground wires out. One is going to this 2-wire setup, and the other is going to TPS as ground. Okay, next sensor is oxygen sensor, which is number 3 on the left side. And that is black. And that seems to end right here. So that's the oxygen sensor. Next wire is TPS signal, which is a gray wire, which is right here. So we're going to chase this one down and make sure that this is going to the right spot. All right, our signal wire, which is this one, seems to be going to the right spot as far as signal. We're gonna have to change this plug. Got ground, signal, let me see, but we'll get there in a little bit. So we see where that one's going. Next wire on the left side is water temperature. So that is spot 5 on the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a purple wire. So that's the wire there. Let's see if we can chase it out. Okay, so here's the purple wire. They changed it to green, then back to purple. Let's see where this is going. Okay, so mystery solved. That brown is ground. This purple one is the signal for water temperature. So we have that noted. Figuring out this mayhem they call a harness. All right, so moving on. We found the water temperature, and then next we're looking for a TPS 5 volt, which is slot number 6. Let me see. And that is a blue wire. All right. All right, here's the blue wire from the harness, slot number 6. Let's see where she's going. And what I'm gonna do off camera is I'm gonna label these so I know exactly where they're going and what they're doing. So we can technically skip the boring part. All right, more mayhem. Alrighty, goes on the blue again. All right, and then we found our TPS 5 volt reference, which is this blue wire that goes into this harness. So we have brown one is ground, blue one is 5 volt reference, and this is the signal. Is this white one or gray. It changes colors as it goes through the harness, but we get the point. So now we have that. Now let's see what else we have on the harness. Okay, so next one we have after 6 is 7, and that is fuel pump. So we are going to need this green guy right here. It's cut kind of short, but I think I should be able to get it. And that's that wire. So that's the fuel pump. That's going to be to activate the relay, which in turn is going to turn on the fuel pump. So I'm going to be running that wire down the car and turning that on with the relay. And then now we're going to move into our next wire, which is aux input number 1. All right, so aux input number 1 is cut. We're not going to be using that, including, let me see, aux input number 2 is cut. Tach output is cut. Ignition output 3 and 1 are both cut. I want to see if I can get this tach output connected. This looks to be like a gray and blue wire. So anyway, let's start. And I'm doing this in an unorganized manner, but you're definitely going to get the concept. So, all right, so we're looking at this. Ignition input, or ignition output, excuse me, 2 and 4 are cut. Aux output 3 and 2 are cut. And let's see. Aux output 3, or excuse me, 1 is cut. Let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have the injector wires, which is connected. Yellow and orange is connected, and then injector number 3 is cut, including injector number 4 is cut. Air temperature, which is number 3, is cut. This black wire here. And we already talked about the ground and the power. So I think that pretty much covers everything. I'm going to start labeling what each and every wire is, how it's connected, and take it from there and wrap this whole mess up into one loom and take it from there. So that is your MicroTech pinout. As you can see, and yeah, so I'm gonna get to it. So this is the finished product, and everything's labeled. Those are obviously injectors, TPMS, we got the fuel pump wire in there, and everything that's needed to get this thing running, at least computer-wise. So I will be knocking this out, and yes, more to come. Awesomeness. I hope you guys enjoyed. That pinout was basically needed for those people who purchased these computers used, and the wiring harness is done in such a way where you can't tell what is what. Well, now you'll be able to knock out the harness with no problem using my pinout that I provide to you in this video. And I hope it's helpful. And see me from my next episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the bell icon, and I'll see you next time.